A big hello to all my jazz friends out there. Greetings from Austria. I've made a swinging chord melody arrangement of There Will Never Be Another You, which I'll show you in detail. I've blended in some contemporary voicings, but all in all I kept it pretty mainstream. Of course, you can download the tabs for this chord melody version from my website. The link is down below in the description. All right, let's hear the full song first in regular tempo. There Will Never Be Another You is in the key of E flat major. We have two A sections with 16 bars each. The last 6 bars are different in each section. I use hybrid picking, which means I play with my pick and my fingers, but it's perfectly fine if you want to use your fingers solely. All right, let's get started. All right, let's listen to the first 4 bars of this song and then I'll break it up for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. I start with a B flat on the 4 and this is on the 8th fret of the D string. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4 and on the 1 I have an E flat 6 chord, which is on the A string 6th, and I borrow the 5 and 5 of the D and G strings. That's an E flat 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I have my melody going on the G string, on the 7th fret and on the 8th fret. So I'll leave my E flat 6 here, have it ring into the melody, and then I change over to the 6th of the B flat. I can play it with my ring finger, then the whole chord still sounds, or I usually lift it up and play it with my middle finger because everything happens so fast. And that's easier. Then I change over to an E flat major 7 chord. I think you know that. This is 6A, 8D, 7G, and 8B. Then I'll let it ring into the high E string, which I play now on the 6th by barring over. While I do this, I lift my pinky up and play the B string. So I have the B string on the 6th fret as a single note, but everything rings into each other. I lift my pinky up or I have it, it's already lifted, and I put it on the 8th fret of the G string. Again. First 2 bars for the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I go over to a D half diminished. This is the 5 of A, 6 of D, 5 of G, and 6 of B, the inner 4 strings. Then I take my index finger and I play the 5th. This is the flat 5th, of course, because it's a D minor 7 flat 5 chord. So I have to use the flat 5 in bass. Then I play the upper 3 strings again. So this is the D, G, and B strings again with my fingers twice. Okay? 3, 4. I have a little rest in between, another rest, and now I leave my pinky as it is and change over to a cowboy chord, G7, and I only play the bass, the G on the third, and the D, G, and B strings. So the D has the barred third fret, the G has the fourth with the middle finger, and the B string is still on the sixth with the pinky. Okay? And I play the bass first, and then the D, G, and B string following it, and play twice. Another rest, and now I use the chord substitution, a tritone substitution for that G7 chord, and that's a D flat 7. And that's a 4th, 6th, 4th by barring, and 6, the inner 4 strings, 4, 6, 4, 6. Okay, so I go from here, I'll leave my pinky as is. And then I go over to a G7 sharp 5 chord, because we have a resolution afterwards, so I can alter it. I bar over the third fret, upper 4 strings, and I have my 4th of the G and my 4th of the B string, so I have 3, 4, 4, 3. Okay, listen to the rhythm closely here. I play from D half diminished, 3, 4. Those are all syncopation. I chose to syncopate this because the straight quarter notes in the original is a little boring for me. So I rather syncopate it. I'm gonna play the whole phrase for you now in slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Phrase number 2 is actually a sequence of the melody of phrase number 1, so let's hear it first. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we start with quartal voicings. So these are chords that are built up diatonically from the B flat major scale. Because we're in C Dorian right now, this is the resolution where we came from G7, right? This was the last chord we had in phrase 1, and it resolves to C minor. In jazz, we play that Dorian a lot. The actual scale would be C Aeolian, but we prefer Dorian. So we built all fourths notes. That's a quarter voicing. This is what I start out, and now I move it diatonically up because it fits the melody. That's the melody. I move it up to, this is C minor 11, and this is a D minor 11. This was the 3rd fret of the A, the D, the G, and the 4th of the B string. Just the inner 4 strings. And now I move it up to 5, 5, 5, 6 of the inner 4 strings. That's a D minor 11 chord. And I move those up. Now it doesn't look, I don't play an E minor 11 chord because this would not fit the scale. I have to keep in the scale, within the scale. So what I get out is something like an E flat Lydian thing. I have the E flat on the 6th of A, the 7th of D, the 7th of G, and the 8th of the B string. 1, 2, and 3. Then I bar this. I press my finger against the high E string to get the next melody note out. Play this one single. And now I go over to another C minor 7 chord on the 8th fret of E. And I bar through the high E string and have high E on the 8th, the B on the 8th, and the G on the 8th. So I play those 3 plus the bass note. Now I have a melody going on while this chord's still ringing. 11th of E, back to 8th of E, 11th of B, and then I go to a B flat minor 9 chord. This is the same as the C minor 7 chord, but on the 6th fret of the E string and the 6th of the G, B, and E, but I fret with my pinky or ring finger, I fret the 8th fret of the E string. That's a B flat 9 chord. Okay, so we have this whole phrase with the quarter voicings. 3, 4. All right, and now the melody in this sequence is over, and I just have to fill 2 chords with rhythm now. And I use the same rhythm, except for the last note actually, as in phrase number 1. I play the bass note again, and then the middle 3 strings, the D string, the G string, and the B string. I still let that high note ring though, so I try not to kind of mute it. Now I change over to the E flat 13 chord. Here would be the root on the 6th of A, we don't play that. We start with the 5th of D, we bar over the 6th of G and B, and the pinky goes to the 8th of the E string, that's the 13. So we have a E flat 9, 13. Okay? And I start with the bass actually, with the D string. I play that once, then I play the high 3 strings twice, and the whole chord once again, okay? And I have a little rest in between. And 1 and rest. And then I lift my pinky off, press against that E string, so I get 5, 6, 6, 6, and have an E flat 9 chord on count number 4. And 1 and 2 and 3, 4. All right, let me play that full phrase number 2 for you in slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. In phrase number 3, the sequenced melody stops and a new melody line begins. Let me play it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. We start with the resolution of the E flat 9 we had before. And this is an A flat major 7. And we play it up here on the 11th fret of the A string, the 13th of the D, which is not played at all actually, but we fret it because we're used to it. That's the full chord. 12th of G, 13th of B, and by barring the 11th of the E string. Okay, we play the A string and the highest 3 strings only, G, B, and E strings of this chord. And now we let it ring into the melody which follows, the B string alone. Then you lift your pinky up and press hard to get the bar chord out on the 11th of the B string. 1, 2, and 3, and then I have my pinky on the G string of the 13th fret. We had that in the beginning, the same thing with the E flat major chord. Oops, that was wrong. All right. Now we change to a D flat 7 flat 5 chord. And that's the 9 of the E string. I would play that with my thumb. But you can try to play it like this. I can't even fret it like this. But we have to change over. So I really recommend playing this with your thumb. 9th of E, middle fingers on the 9th of D, ring on the 10th of G, and B on the 8th of, and index on the 8th of B. Then we have a little melody here within the chord. We play the G string again, then the B string again, and now we need the ninth in the melody of the B string, so we change over to a D flat 7 chord. That's the same notes except for that ninth fret on the B string, but we have to refret it. I have my index now on the ninth of D, the ring is on the 10th of G, and the middle is on the ninth of B. So from here to here. You should practice this. It happens very often actually. This occurs very often. Okay, I'll play this for you. One more time. Then I go over to, yeah, you might wonder why this D flat 7 is here, because now we have an E flat major 7. This D flat 7, for those who are interested, is a tritone substitute for a G7, and I can only guess, but that's usually the way it's done. This was supposed to resolve to a C minor 7, but what follows is an E flat major 7, which is the major parallel of that C minor. So we have kind of a double substitution thing going on. Instead of G7, the composer chose for tritone substitute, D flat 7, and not resolving it to the regular C minor 7, but to the parallel major, okay? Sometimes we wonder why chords are placed the way they are, but there's usually an explanation, sometimes far-fetched, but this is not that far-fetched. So this is quite standard. All right, so now we go over to an E flat major chord, and this we had this before, bar on the 6th fret, 6A, 8D, 7G, 8B, and the 6th of E. We just played the bass note on the A string and the higher 3 strings, G, B, and E. We have the same melody now as on the A flat. The pinky on the B string, lift it up. Then we have the 6th of the B string, and the pinky goes to the 8th of the G string. So this piece of melody, this occurs here a lot of times. Had it in the beginning, had it on A flat, have it now back again. And now we go into the 6th chord of that progression, which is a C minor 11. That's the 8th of the E string, 8th of D, 8 of G, and 6th of B string. That's a beautiful chord. And the melody lays within that chord. So we have to play the G string again, the B string again, and the G string again. All right, let me play that phrase number 3 in slow tempo for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here are the last 4 bars of the A1 section already. All right, let's hear them. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are on the 5 chord of that 2 minor 2-5 progression. We had the C minor 11 in the last phrase, and now we go into a F13, derived from that F9 chord. We have the 13 on top, so no room here for the bass note. This would be the F on the 8th fret. We don't play it. We start on the 7th of D. We borrow the 8th of G and B, and we have that 13 note on the 10th of E. We play that once, and then we press the high E string to get that 8th fret. 1, 2, and stretch your pinky over to the 11th of B string. We play that B string once, and then to the 10th fret. This is the melody. And now we go to the F9 chord with the root, and usually I would fret it with a bar chord. We don't do that now. We play the middle on the A of the 8, 7 of D, ring finger is on the 8 of G, and the pinky we need that pinky here on the 8 of B string. So please fret it this way. Because now we have a melody and we cannot switch between these two if we have a bar chord here. So we don't bar. What we do now is we leave our middle and ring finger in place, lift our other 2 fingers up, and place the index finger on the 6th of the B string, and play it along with the G string, which is still laying on the 8th fret of the G string. So we have 8 of G and 6 of B. And the bass should still be ringing. Now I use my pinky to go on the 8th fret of the B string, and I play it along with the 8th fret of the G string, which is still laying here. These two. All right. And I'll lift it up one more time and play these two, ring finger and index. This is a little tricky in the beginning. Then I'll leave these fingers here and I fret an F minor 7 chord. This is 8 of A still laying here, 6 of D, 8 of G, and 9 of B. I play that once, then I lift my middle finger up and play the 5th in the bass, which is on the 8th of the E string. Then I play those 3 strings, or just one, sorry. That was the D, B, and D, G, and B strings. Now I leave those fingers here, these fingers here. I play not a walking bass, a chromatic bass actually. On the 7th, this is the flat 5 of the F minor 7 chord. And now I move over those 2 fingers and I wrap around a B flat 13 chord. This is the 6th of the E, the 6th of the D, the 7th of G, and the 8th of B. All right. And I play this twice, rest, and another 3rd time with all 4 fingers. Okay, this is a little tricky, I know. It requires a lot of fine motorical senses, skills. Let me play that phrase, that last phrase of the A section for you one more time in slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, 4. Phrase number 5 is the second ending of our A section and the grande finale. So we repeat everything from the A1 section till a certain point, the E flat major 7 I think it was, and then the chords change and we have the ending. All right, so let's revisit until it changes. We start from the pickup. after this, it's changing. Okay, so we had that D flat, 7 flat 5 chord before. And then this E flat major 7 is the same. And in section A1, this would go over to a C minor 11. But now, after that E flat major 7, we go over to A half diminished 11. This is the same chord that we had before named F13. But now the bass player plays an A. If we had a bass player, he would play an A. And now it's called an A half diminished 11. 7 of D, 8, 8 barred over the G and B strings, and 10th of the E string. You hold that till count 3, and then you make a rest. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. And then we really push the next chord on the 3 and this is a D7 flat 9 chord substituted by a diminished chord. Actually, it's the same thing. 7 of D, 8 of G, 7 of B, and 8 of E. So 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and. All right, now we have only quarter notes left. Da, 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 da. We start with a G minor 7, inner 4 strings only, 10 on A, 12, 10 by barring, and 11 on the B string. 1, then we go over to a diminished chord, which replaces a D7 flat 9. This is 10, 11, 10, 11 of the highest 4 strings. 1, 2. Then we have a D7 sharp 5 or A9, A flat 9 sharp 11. I think that's how I labeled it in my music sheets, in the tabs. This is a 10 bar from the D string up to the high E string, and 11, 11 of G and B. 10, 11, 11, 10. Depending on what the bass is playing, this could be a D altered chord or its tritone substitute, a tritone up, A9 sharp 11, exactly. So we have, then we have a single note on the 13th of the B string, while the rest still ringing. Then we go over second bar. We go over to a G minor. I made an 11. You can play a 7 too, but for a change I played an 11. I like those 11 chords. They are a lot more contemporary sounding than this. Well, not a lot, but a bit. Then I go over to 8th fret of the G string. Now it's for a C altered chord, C7 flat 9, replaced by a G diminished chord. 10, A, 11, 9, and 11. The inner 4 strings. And then I slide over with my pinky to a C7, another altered chord, C7 sharp 5, or flat 13. 8 of E, 8 of D, 9 and 9 of G and B. So this last bar, all right, now we slide our ring finger 1 to the left to the 8th fret, and we wrap around an F minor 7 chord. This is 8 of A string, 6 of D, 8 of G, and B string on the 6th fret, 8, 6, 8, 6. Then 1 to the left, we wrap around a B flat 13 chord, 6 of E, 6 of D, 7 of G, and 8 of B. And those are half notes, so we count 1, 2, 3, 4, and the final chord, the resolution, E flat 6. This is 6 of A, 5 and 5 of D and G, and 4 of B. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, let me play that last part where the parts are changing. We had the E flat major, and now the parts differ. We go over to an A half diminished. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Folks, I really hope you enjoyed my arrangement of There Will Never Be Another You. If you did so, please like the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Ciao from Vienna.